I don't want to get sued either. But I'll beat that out, dude.
No.
Boy, American accent, dude. You ain't getting a fan jet. What are you on about, mate? Probably need some water after that or something. You're right.
I'm good.
I'm waiting for you to tell the public. What do you think?
Welcome back to episode 10 of Suits and Sliders. 10! Double digits!
Baby!
Woo!
Come on.
We got there, that's good, eh?
We got there.
Yeah,
Just
there's more
about.
milestones, just about. There's
We're
more
holding on.
milestones to achieve, but we've been doing pretty damn well. It's
double
been a heavy
digits.
month, hasn't it?
It has been. It has been.
But we're making sure that every single week we do not let you lovely people down. And thank you so much for hanging around till double digits.
Yeah.
And we hope one day to make it triple digits. Nerf dies, yes. Let's move on. So this one
I
is...
think that's where we stopped, to be fair. I don't know any more after that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, so this one is a fun one for you. We're putting a fun twist on something that stereotypically isn't as fun, let's be honest. So this is all about legals, compliance, all of that juicy stuff, which is what will eventually get you guys into trouble if you leave that stone unturned.
Yes.
So we'll turn it over for you.
Extremely important.
Exposing ourselves. I'll be going to jail, Jamie. We
We'll find out, mate.
One
We
day
might
we-
get sued, who knows?
Can you imagine it one day, like on the news, like Suits and Sliders co-host, both of us in cuffs.
We'll do this from prison.
You've shaved your head. I've grown my hair out. It just looks horrible. Anyway, it'd be like COVID times.
But, anyhow, don't forget to like, subscribe. We know you're watching and not subscribing.
So many of you.
Plus, turn that little bell on. The
Do so.
notification bell.
And then if not, go and check out the socials. Go and check out the Spotify. If you can't watch the whole episode, click over there now, download it so you can watch
Give
it.
it a follow, 5-star rating, please.
5-star ratings would be amazing.
Amazing. And
And
later on today, we have a Patreon exclusive
we do.
where a
We
forfeit is a wax strip.
The forfeit's brutal. A wax strip. And these things do not leave ourselves for like 6 months. Bear that in mind. We've got hairy ass legs, people, so that's why we always wear joggers.
There's armpits on the line.
Armpits on the line as
belly
well.
button. Yeah.
It's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough.
Who knows?
Anyway,
stick around to watch
stick around
that,
and
though.
you'll see that kick off.
It will be
But in
good.
the meantime, right here today, we're getting into legals and compliance. But before we do, we're now getting used to this. We're doing our tradition. That's it, people. Back at the scratch cards. Number 10. Jamie, I will happily go first.
Sure.
Happily indeed. What we had to do is match 3 identical symbols in vertical, horizontal, or diagonal lines to win a prize. So, there's presents and cards on the line. That's all I've got to work with here. So,
Same here.
presents. No, there's nothing working with the presents, I'm afraid. Cards. Nothing working with the cards. Shit. Absolute shit. It's all soggy as well. So, not happy with that.
Is it soggy?
The whiskey.
Alright, my friend.
Right.
This £1 scratch card right here,
No.
we're looking horizontally.
Episode number 10. Come on. Bring it home.
Card. Present.
Okay.
Present.
Present.
Card. And the last one.
Come on now. Come on.
Card. Present.
Shit. Of course it is.
Natty.
Diabolical.
0.
Truly is, isn't it?
Although, really got my hopes up that one. And I was
Yeah.
scratching away. I was like, gonna win.
I thought it just said match 3 identical. I was like, I thought like 10 in. But actually, you have to get them in a line. So I'm afraid not.
Down another £2.
Yeah.
What's that take us to now?
Well, we'll get the quarterly report out for you guys later on. You can have a look at how we're doing overall. But without further ado, should we get on into it today?
Yeah,
Let's
go
get
on
things
then,
ticking
go on
over.
then.
We're starting with a good one. We're getting into... Excuse me, I'm coughing. We're getting into... Is it really worth
Is
it?
it really worth it?
Jamie's running it today. And
Yeah.
I guess there's nothing more to say than let's go!
Let's go.
Woo!
Let's get into it. Cool. So, as you can see, is it really worth it? Today, I have selected cereals. I actually wanted to try and get best, The Sidemen
The
cereal.
Sidemen one, yeah.
But
We love having a little influence one in there for you people, but
cannot find it for the life of me anywhere.
sold out for it. I went into Tesco's once to try and get it when it first came out, and the guy was there like, yeah, we don't sell it anymore.
Apparently it's like Sainsbury's, I think, but...
Yeah, so but it was originally Tesco's. If you look online,
really?
they've got a website. Here's another thing for the Sidemen, boys. Your website, when I clicked on there to try and find it, it says like available in stores.
You're acting like you know them.
You click the tab, it's meant to come up with the available stores. You click the tab, fuck all happens. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. I hate it when you click a tab on a website.
Nothing happens. Yeah.
Come on, lads.
Come on, lads. What are you doing?
Anyway, we've got
you
these.
should call him up. You should hit him up. Anyway, yeah. As I mentioned, I picked some cereals.
I mean,
do you like cereals?
I've got some interesting ones here. I prefer like a sort of overnight oats sort of vibe. Okay. Gives me more energy for the day.
So you make your own overnight oats?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But do you know what I love cereal for? A late night meal rather than an early morning meal. In the evening,
I remember,
when dinner hasn't filled me up, you're an hour later and you go, I'm still peckish. A bowl of cereal slaps.
Midnight snack, is it? Mm-hmm. I remember at Hartbury we used to do a bit of that, didn't we? We used to just get a bowl of cereal and just munch on it.
We had such a core breakfast routine as well. I'll have to go into that at some point in the future.
No, you do it now.
Yeah? Okay, so this is what happened, people. Breakfast routine, and I'm telling you, this was like fucking clockwork. There was nothing. There wasn't so much as a synchronised step out of place. So every morning, so we lived in college, there was Jamie, myself, and our good mate Cal Barrett. And then we also had another mate of ours who was involved in the purpose. It was the Gruffalo. And so what we did every morning was Jamie lived opposite me, come and knock on my door. I'd walk out my door. I'd knock on Cal's door. Cal would take a couple of seconds, pop out of his door. We'd all be stood there. We'd walk downstairs. Jamie would go and knock on Gruff's door. No response.
No, the window.
Oh, sorry, that was it. We used to knock on the door, but when he wasn't answering, we just used to walk past and knock on the window because we knew he'd be late.
He kept going, guys, come like get me, knock on my door.
Yeah.
Like, nah,
it was so far out of the way, it was never happening. And then you just see him running up the hill behind us like 2 minutes later. And then the clockwork began.
Well, no, before we ran up the hill, you could hear him fucking coughing his lungs
every
out.
morning.
This guy had COVID-19 before COVID-19 even existed.
I think
honestly.
he might have been one.
He might have started it, honestly. We would be at the top of the hill. It's quite a big hill.
It was.
And you just hear him going... We're like, he's coming.
Like Darth Vader's coming up behind you. And then we'd walk into the breakfast canteen and it would be the same step-by-step process. First of all, we'd all walk in, right? Jamie would dip off, go and grab was it the yogurts? It was the yogurts first.
Yeah.
And then you'd go straight into the line to get your sausages and your bacon and stuff. I'd walk up and get the orange juices. I'd get the juices, the apple juices, making sure everyone always had the same one. Callum would go into the line, but he'd always go over and he was making the eggs, wasn't he? He was like, oh no, it was the fruit bowl.
The fruit bowl
first.
He loved the fruit bowl.
And then, so we'd all be in line and we'd transition line. It'd be Jamie, me, then Callum. We'd all go through the line. I'd then dip off and go and grab the milks.
Yeah,
Callum would always stay there. You'd always ask for like fresh like bacon or sausages if they were like towards the end, and you'd just stand there until they were ready.
We were all good mates with the cashier.
Oh, the cashier.
And she was like, let you have extra if you need extra. Sick.
And then we'd all go through the canteen thing together separately, sit on the same table every single time, same positions. And then we'd eat in the same sort of way. I mean, I would just like ramble, I'm eating everything on the plate at the same time.
We'd eat normally.
You'd eat normally as well. And then Cal Barron, I love you to bits, mate. This man, perfectly, he would cut a sausage, pick up the sausage, dip it in the top of the egg, but not so that he got any of the other egg, just dip it in the egg. And then he'd eat the sausage, then he'd cut the egg, put it on a bit of the toast, cut a bit of the toast, then he'd have that, but he'd dip it in the beans.
Have you ever seen that? Someone dipping a sausage in the yolk of the egg?
I've not. But he did it every morning, and he'd eat the whole sausage by dipping it in the egg before he ate the egg. Weird. And then he would like work through the plate. It would be like beans to toast to egg to bacon. Like, it was so strange.
Oh, honestly.
But he did it every morning.
Weird bloke.
And that was our morning routine. Yeah. Anyway, we've waffled a bit there for you. So now we'll get into the cereal.
And then the Gruffalo would enter about 5 minutes later and we'd be wrapped up.
Yeah, and he'd be there like, lads, wait, and he'd just be shoving it all in his mouth at the same time. So that we can walk back down the hill.
Anyway, let's get into it, right? So, who are you going to start with?
Shall I I'll work all the way to the top because Cocoa Pops is a staple. I want to finish it strong. I've not had this before.
Oreos.
Oreo O's. Very true. Yeah. I do love a good Oreo biscuit.
I've never seen that before. I've never tried it either. Ooh.
Interessante, I'll say that.
So he's going to go in raw. He's going to raw dog this.
So
we have no milk.
I've got a little bowl to catch me crumbs.
Actually,
you've seen this on the morning routine vid on the socials, whoever's watching that.
Before you start, do you pour milk in first or cereal first?
I do it the right way. Cereal first. Anyone who does milk first,
You're wrong.
wrong. That's like doing the tea the wrong way around as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what? So I'll go for a good old handful. Get a couple of whatever these are. I've got some white bits. I'm assuming that's like for the cream.
The milky
And
colour.
then we've got the sort of
It says there
Cheerio-looking
vanilla
things.
flavoured discs are the white one, and the crunchy cocoa hoops
Let's see, here we are, going in raw.
are the other ones. Crunchy. Oh, I can hear that.
Dry sugar was a bad idea.
Well, how's it taste? This is like a taste test without the milk, so it might be better with the milk, but we don't know.
It's nice.
You like it? Yeah?
Can't really taste the vanilla.
No?
No, you can't get an instant thing from that, but then it's just like having a big Rice Krispie basically.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it might be one of those things where the milk like infuses it.
Yeah,
See what I mean?
yeah.
And then makes it a bit softer.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Solid.
Like it, yeah?
Sugary,
Not bad, not bad.
Sugary to the nth degree.
Nice. How much do you
Nice.
think that might cost?
I mean, it would be a giveaway that there's $3.99 plastered on the box.
Shit.
So
I thought that was the only one without the price on it.
I'm gonna get $3.99.
Oh no, it's Kit Kat and Weetabix, you can guess.
Yeah, $3.99.
Well, you would be spot on, my friend. It's $3.99.
Imagine if I tried to sell them down the street. Oh, I wonder. And then they're giving $3.99 written on the box.
Class.
Well, it's top of the rung at the moment. Not bad. I don't think I need the bowl.
Top of the
actually.
what?
Top of the rung.
The rung.
Yeah, that's what it's saying, isn't it?
Fair. Never heard that.
People might call me up for that. Next, this dry is going to be...
Do that last.
I'll do that last. Right, we'll go for... Let's go Cheerios next. Cheerios is a staple, isn't it? Multi-grain Cheerios. I do know what the price is.
Guess the price.
Cheerios is a staple. What was your go-to cereal when you were a kid?
Oh, you know what? I think mine was actually Weetabix, to be honest, and Cocoa Pops.
No.
I'd like be between the two.
Sure. When we get to Weetabix, I've got a story for you. I had a staple version of Weetabix that was introduced to me by the Wheeler family. Anyway, before we
I
jump
had a
forward.
chocolate chip Weetabix. They were banging back in the day.
True.
Small mini
The
ones.
small mini ones, yeah. Right, Cheerios. Good old handful.
Go on.
Here we go.
Get down
Multi-grain.
here.
It's good for me.
Cheerios are good. They are good.
Pretty damn good dry.
They've
as well.
also got cheerful little O's, similar to Oreo O's.
True.
Interesting.
Do they sue them? Legal case?
Maybe.
Maybe. Anyway.
Where would you rank that? Better than Oreo?
Above,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
And I think it's healthier for you as well.
It is healthy
isn't
for
it?
you. And it's not as like sugary. So I could
Yeah.
eat like a few more handfuls of them. I'm not having a few more handfuls
Yeah.
of the Oreos. We'll come back to that. Stick that in there.
You go Cocoa Pops.
And let's go Cocoa Pops next. What a classic. What an absolute classic.
They just smashed it.
Do you remember when Cocoa Pops released that straw that you
Yeah.
could drink the milk with as
So
well?
good.
Oh mate, that was class. That was like a proper treat when you were a
So
kid getting
good.
that straw.
And they used to have like random little gifts as well. The crocodile clip. I've got a crocodile clip from it.
The
still.
ones like close the package.
Yeah.
Mm.
Quite clever as well.
Do you know what? It's never changed. That's what I love about
It's
it.
not, has it?
Sort of same size box, and it's one of those only products out there that actually hasn't changed over time. You've got the Freddos are getting smaller year on year. Everything else like cans, drinks,
Rice
get
Krispies is
smaller,
probably
smaller.
similar as well, I'd say.
Yeah, but I'd say cereal in general.
Yeah.
They don't decrease
No,
their
not really,
polish.
no.
Well, not from what I've seen anyway. Anyway, they're tiny, but here we are. Cocoa Poppies. Here we go.
Have you just...
Oh,
Yeah, I was going to say, where's your bowl gone? You just completely got rid of it. Oh, difficult? Yeah, good, isn't it? I mean, yeah. It's just, everyone loves them. They love them.
They do.
They smash it.
And what a classic to have a game on the back. That was a staple as well. I think they used to have questions. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they did. Like a little quiz.
Like a little quiz, yeah.
And then at the bottom you get your answers.
It's such like a definitive though.
Where
as
would
well.
you put it?
I'm gonna have to say 2,
2.
but I'm
Yeah.
feeling it's
Why?
gonna hold that place only because this I quite just like the honey and it tastes a bit healthier. I'm not saying
Okay,
that.
yeah. Not
I
the
do love
chocolatey
Cocoa
flavour.
Pops, but like yeah, they have to take a second place. 'Cause
Right.
if I was at the shops, I would definitely buy Cheerios out.
So now we've got Kit Kat cereal. I have
Kitty
not
Catty.
tried this. Same as Oreos, Kit Kat. It seems like chocolate are now branching into cereals these
It
days.
looks like it. Yeah, and I can't really. It doesn't look like it. May be like
No,
a mix of shreddies.
It's confusing,
and,
isn't it?
I don't know.
Well, that's not a Kit Kat. That, to me, the Oreos looks kind of like an Oreo. I get what they're doing with that, but
I mean, they've got the Four Fingers type sort of marketing, I guess, to the look of it. But
it looks like crisp.
Oh,
So tell me,
nothing like
do you get that wafer crunchy?
Looks like rabbit droppings.
Really? So tell me if you get that crunchy wafer kind of vibe, like a Kit Kat would give you. I'd be interested to see.
It feels like the cocoa's just dropping off of my fingers as well.
Oh really? Like flaky?
Like it's one of those ones where you pour the cereal in, the milk's brown instantly.
Oh
do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Right, here we go.
Ooh, good crunch. Everyone loves a good crunch. Unsure?
Not a fan.
No.
No.
Oh, a little bit to be
Try
fair.
that, yeah.
I should
It's
probably
like-
try the Oreos as well.
Quite cardboardy, I'm getting. Obviously there's no milk in it, but like, that's what I'm getting.
Oh,
Do you see what I mean?
Initial taste,
This tastes quite nice,
pretty good,
but
but
then it's also quite powdery compared to the others. In terms of that's where the flavouring is, and it's just that plus a bit of cardboard biscuit. Really.
where you putting it then?
I'm saying that's the bottom.
At the bottom, yeah?
I'm afraid so.
Oh dear. Get a bowl for this, mate.
But that's what price on. So looking at what the value of the others have been,
Oh yeah, go on.
I
You're so
will
right, actually.
say, I mean they've all been around the £3 marker because it's
Yeah.
like an isolated brand one.
So do you want to run? So this one, Cheerios.
£3.25, yeah,
Yeah, $3.25, $3.49,
£3.49,
and then Oreos are $3.99.
£3.99. See, I'm going to think it's quite top end as well, just because it's like a chocolate brand.
What would
I'm
you
going
go
to
for?
say £3.99 as well.
Yeah. Weird price. £4.03.
What?
Yeah.
That is weird.
Very strange.
There's no level
Currently
on
sitting
that.
at the top right now.
But at the bottom of the
Before we
ranking. So
Interesting, right?
very interesting. Oh, I'm struggling here.
It's a big brand as well.
Speaking of big brands, Wheat A-Bix. This is a staple. So I'll tell you my little.
That's such a classic.
Before I munch on this was the recipe of the gods when I was
Go
a
on.
kid. So it was introduced to me by the Whelan family, love them to bits. They introduced me to warm Weetabix. Now, other people have said this to me before.
Warm Weetabix.
Hear me out. 2 or 3 Weetabix in a bowl, milk in the bowl, right? In the microwave, about 30 seconds, right? Take it back out, sugar sprinkled on top, back in the microwave for another 20 seconds. I'm telling you, mate, when this comes out, it slaps. It is so good. I'm not lying to
I'm a
you.
bit unsure about
I'm
that.
telling you, that was
I
my
mean-
staple. That was like a weekend special. When I was a
Wow.
kid.
Let us know. Have you ever tried anything like that, or have a
I
weird
used to call it the Whelan
cereal
Weetabix.
thing?
I'm pretty sure other people do it as well, but it was introduced to me by them, so I called it the Whelan Weetabix.
Alright, let us know down below if you have tried that. Whatever Ollie just said there, because that was baffling.
Once. Weetabix is the messiest cereal of all time.
It is. It
Jeez.
is.
Like, I've just pulled one out and I'm covered in it.
It is.
So this is going to put it back up here. I'll put that on the end. Alright.
Well, I'll put it wherever you rank it.
Oh, true. Right. Why do we do this?
It's a good crunch, mate. It probably
Yeah.
tastes like arse without
It's
it
like
as
a-
well.
Cardboard sandwich.
Probably need some water after that or something. You're right.
I'm good.
We're waiting for you to tell the public. What do you think? Tastes like wheat. Biscuits?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? You can wash it down with some new tonic? That would make it taste weird as well. Weetabix, back in the day, right? It always used to be a saying. I used to play football and stuff like that and rugby and sports. And like, have you had your Weetabix?
True.
Or you put in like a man of the match performance and they'll be like, he's had his Weetabix today, he's done really well. So rogue. People used to ask you, what have you eaten for breakfast and stuff like that when you play really well,
Yeah.
or someone has a stormer.
I would
Did
always
you
do
ever
it.
get that?
Always.
Yeah.
Without doubt.
Like, he's had his Weetabix.
Jeez, that is rough to eat without
Right.
milk.
Where you putting it? A lot of detail in the back as well.
I don't know if this counts as bias. I'm gonna take into account the years and years and be having Weetabix with milk because it's something with milk. And
Of course.
I've been thinking of all of these in that same sense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it above Cocoa Pops.
Ooh.
I'm gonna put it in second, which I thought Cocoa Pops was gonna hold its own there, but Weetabix is slotted in here,
Okay.
despite being horrific. to say the
Price
least.
wise, what are you thinking then?
Weetabix I know has always been expensive. I'm usually getting the £2 ones, which are like the single channel ones, and there's obviously the double channel. I'm gonna say this is like
So like
Excuse me,
you get the 12
$3.49.
pack kind of thing rather than 24.
yeah. I'm saying £3.49.
$3.79.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So I mean, so far the cheapest out of these lot are Cheerios.
Do you know what though?
By quite a
Surprisingly,
bit.
no real, like, really cheap option.
Yeah. I mean,
They all sort of sit around the same park.
if you do, well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, you look at like your actual shops though, the ones created like by Asda, Tesco,
Own
Sainsbury's,
brand.
they would be the own brands.
True.
They're like £1 usually, stuff like that.
True.
But like the big brands themselves, yeah, they all compete against each other.
But
That's for sure.
pretty impressive. Weetabix is probably my staple now in life. A Weetabix in the evening, like to just give me some good old nutrition before bed.
So-
is a staple.
Obviously, I spoke about one of these companies before, and I got a bit slated by people because
Well, technically two of them.
it's two of them. I didn't pronounce the name right.
Go on, Jamie. Try again.
Well, I said,
Go on.
I don't think it's too bad. What did I say? Nestle.
You said, Nestle.
Something like that, right?
You kept saying
But
Nestle.
it's Nestle.
Nestle.
Because it's French. Whatever.
You
Anyway.
called out so much for that, it was making my day.
Ridiculous, honestly. The amount of voice notes and messages I got from it.
Nestle.
It's not my fault. I was like born into a family full of South Africans. Anyway, they don't really know how to say that word because they're not French.
I see.
Moving on. Out of these, right? So you got Kellogg's, Nestle, which is Cheerios, and also Kit Kat.
Yeah.
You've got Oreo, which is actually owned by, I've never heard of this either, Mondelez International
Okay.
is the parent company.
Yeah.
Then you've got Weetabix.
I see.
So, what do you think their net worths are?
I think top of the rung, I'm going to say, is Nestle, just because of their over brand of like loads of other different brands.
Rung. I've never heard of this.
Have you really not?
Is this like an old people's
Maybe.
saying?
I've been saying it for years though.
You are a bit of an OAP though,
True.
at heart.
Yeah, I'm a 50-year-old man inside.
Alright, mate, say again, sorry, I missed that. What was it?
Thanks.
Top of the rung!
Top of the rung. Okay, top of par, was that better for you?
Top of the rung.
Suffer.
Top of the rung, mate.
Nestle, I would say, is the top of the.
Yeah, what are you predicting?
ownership.
Net worth.
I'm saying Nestle's got to come in with. It's got to have a healthy few billion behind it. I'm going to say Nestle's coming in with a strong 20 billion.
Yeah, honestly, this is mental.
It's absolutely blowing me out of the water.
£211 billion, or in dollars,
What? Pounds?
263.
Woo!
Yeah.
That is mega.
Huge, right?
Cheers, Cheerios.
Huge. But to be fair, they dominate so many things, like so many products they
Oh,
make.
without
It's
doubt.
insane.
Yeah.
Go on. So that's number one. You're correct.
Second
with that.
up, I'm going to say it's between Kellogg's and Weetabix.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Kellogg's. Just because even though Weetabix is such a
Really?
highly established brand, I feel like Kellogg's has got a few other
Think
Kellogg's
about
got
it though.
Rice Krispies, Cocoa Pops.
Think
it's got-
about it. Not just talking cereals here, right?
Oh,
This is net worth of the companies.
yeah, Oreo, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
I wouldn't write off a couple.
You know, you kind of helped me out there. I'm going to actually say Oreo now that you made me
You
think
would?
of that. Yeah.
Over-
So whatever this parent
yeah.
company of Oreo is.
Yeah.
Um,
Mondelez International.
and seeing as I'm going to think that they're second, I'm going to say they're probably pitching somewhere around the... I think they could be a lot less than Nestle. I'm going to say about 6 billion.
Okay. You are correct. A second.
Yeah?
£70 billion
70 billion.
is what the parent company,
That's
Mondelez
impressive.
International.
Do you know
I'm
what
sure
other
they
companies
have
they have?
other little branches. No, I don't actually.
No,
There wasn't too much on it, but they own Oreos, for
Sure.
example, and you got the chocolates and all of that stuff with it.
fair enough.
So, what do you think is coming in third place?
As I was going to go for Kellogg's, I'm still going to stick
Yeah,
with Kellogg's. I'm
okay.
going to say Kellogg's because they've got Rice Krispies and a few others, and they're just such a staple sort of like family
Yeah,
brand.
they're very good UK.
And I think when people grow up, they also
Right.
move away from having cereals and stuff. And so even though Weetabix is more sort of tending
It is
towards
weird, yeah.
older demographics and like to sort of older teens, 20-year-olds, so on and so forth, I still think at that stage you kind of have less cereal and you sort of move on to other things.
I don't eat cereal anymore
very
at
rarely
all.
eat
Haven't
cereal.
probably for the last 3-4 years.
So saying, and I don't think there's many kids like, can we get Weetabix? Unless
Yeah.
they have the steeple wheel of Weetabix. So I'm saying Kellogg's are coming in next with being in the wrong, not the wrong, I keep saying it today.
Run.
You've got me saying it a lot now.
I've never said it.
In the remit of the other companies' billions that we've been speaking about, I'm saying Kellogg's are going to come in with 25 billion. I'm going to up the sort of remit of things because I feel like I've been a bit
Very good guess. £22.5 billion
Wow,
pounds.
wow.
But if you're saying dollars, 28. So
Enough, I'm right in there.
very good. And
Cool.
that's as of March 2025 as well.
I see.
But their parent company was formerly known as Kellanova.
Okay,
Yeah,
didn't know that.
very strange. Anyway, so
Finally-
lastly,
Coming in at the rear is Weetabix. And Weetabix, I think, are still a great company. And I still think they perform outstandingly for being like an ice. I don't really see other like distinguished sort of types of Weetabix. You see like the minis, you see that sort of stuff, but it's not like they're also doing random other stuff.
Exactly.
Like all Kellogg's and Oreos and Nestle is. So
they're an isolated brand in themselves. They stick to cereals by the looks.
But I still think they probably picked the billion. I'm going to say 1.5 bill.
Interesting. Very, very close, my friend.
Really?
So they're actually a privately held company, so they don't open their books. However, it was estimated to be valued at around 1.4 billion. So you're pretty much bang on.
That's pretty close. So we get better at this.
They estimate this because it was acquired by the Chinese company Bright Food in 2017. Yeah. So there you go, my friend.
There we go, people. Well, that was a fun one, despite almost choking on the Weetabix.
A little bit different. And I don't know, do we have any cereal lovers out there? But let us know your favourites.
Let us know your favourites. Let us know other things you want to try as well, people.
Yeah.
Is it really worth it? Spending your pennies, all this good stuff. We need ideas. So
100%.
fire them out to us as best as you can.
100%.
In the meantime, should we get back into it?
We're slowly running out.
We are. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go. Back from is it really worth it?
Yeah.
It's not that then. My mouth is dry as anything.
Weetabix at the end looks a bit brutal.
That was rough. But nevertheless, we hope you enjoyed that. And now we're going to get into the nitty and the gritty of the episode.
So you don't go to jail.
So you don't go to jail because we don't want to be there. You don't want to be there.
Yeah.
No one great that we all just stayed out of the cuffs. Anyway, pause. I've gone and found some common legal mistakes that everyday people, when they're starting their small businesses, can make. So I'm going to get into that now. Kicking you off. We got into this in episode 9, so if you haven't already seen it, go back and check it out. But choosing the wrong business structure is a expose of potential fall short you can do. Basically being the fact that if you choose to go down the wrong avenue, going into the sole traders, the limited liability partnerships, or one of the two private or public limited companies, you go for the wrong one because of your scale and your size and all this sort of stuff, you will end up exposing yourself in ways you cannot imagine.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful. Make sure you pick the right one, otherwise you might be in a lot of trouble.
And each company has legal requirements in terms of what is exposed to yourself if someone was to sue you, for example, your assets, so on and so forth. And they've all got different regulations as far as their tax and financial dependencies. Point being was if you go for the wrong one and you start just kind of freelancing it yourself and trying to go ad hoc about what your procedure is going to be, you will end up tripping over yourself.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already seen it, go back and check it out.
You don't want HMRC on your door banging there. I'm going, where's my money?
Exactly. An example being Northern Rock, the big old bank, back in 2008, the financial crisis, it exposed itself and its shareholders to massive losses, ultimately leading it to nationalisation and preventing itself from going into bankruptcy because of the fact that it wasn't under the regulations of being a limited liability partnership, which means that the shareholders would have only been they would have only been exposed up to their investments. Because they didn't do that, their shareholders and themselves were personally targeted for their own assets, which meant that everyone always kicked up a stunk about it.
Crazy. 2008 was a big year for companies.
It was.
Not good.
So that's a bit of a fall short that you don't want to do. Secondarily, failing to trademark people. Like, I know you've got good ideas out there, and by all means, we empower you to speak about them as best as you can. But when you go out into the world and you start promoting your business, if you don't go down the avenues of trademarking your logo or your name, your phrases, key product ideas, your competitors will come in and just steal them. If there's a competitor struggling in the same space and they see you doing well, but they've already got manufacturing set up and all this sort of stuff, there's nothing stopping them from swooping in and stealing all your ideas.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a competitor either. It could be anyone you speak to.
Exactly.
If you haven't got those trademarks, that's going to be bad. So they also call that intellectual property, IP.
True. Which there are recommendations to having yourself if you've got things written down.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cover you for everything.
You got to protect your intellectual property. We'll get into that a bit more because that's almost a whole segment within itself because there's so many avenues to go down.
We certainly will. A notable example for you people out there, Snapchat actually wasn't originally going to be called Snapchat. Did you know this?
No.
It was meant to be called Peekaboo.
Really?
Peekaboo, yeah.
Peekaboo.
However, so they didn't.
Someone had a ghost, I guess. That makes a bit more sense.
Do you know what it probably is?
The logo, the ghost.
Snapchat's got nothing to do with the ghost.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, it might have been that.
But you snap in the chat, yeah.
When they went to their investors and they did all their pitch meetings and stuff, they were known as Peekaboo. But when they went to do their all sort of their branding and their marketing, they realised that Peekaboo was already trademarked, and so they had to rebrand everything. Extensive process, and out came Snapchat, which still did very well, but nevertheless, they put.
I'm sure they probably tried to purchase Peekaboo as well, and they were like, nah, because that happens a lot as well. Like some companies go, this is our name. Someone's got it. Like some small little business in I don't know, Norway or something.
Always
Came
alright.
to my head. And they'll go, mate, can we have your name? They were like, yeah, sure. 1 mil, please.
Yeah. It's also happen when it comes to your socials. So check that all your social tags are free.
Yeah,
or
people
get creative
love to
with
take
it,
your handles.
but
Don't
people
they?
will take your handles at the first chance they get. Our handles on TikTok and Spotify and Facebook and everything else is just Suits and Sliders. So we got in there early, people, don't you worry.
Go check it out.
Go check it out. Finally, DIY legal documents. So I've experienced this myself. Early days startups, they don't want to pay the big legal fee, so instead they find the templates and they try and create the documents themselves.
Yeah.
There's benefits to this, going through the right avenues and reading through and make sure you do your due diligence, both of us checking it 100 times over.
Saves you a bit of coin as well.
It does. And then you could go at the end of making your DIY documents and go to a professional and say, can you just read through this? Those fees will be a lot less than getting them to create them themselves.
Definitely.
However, when you're talking about things like, let's say, terms and conditions for your customers or big shareholders' documents, you don't want to take the risk. Don't try and expose yourself, because there's been many a time where people have been caught out and basically money thrown at settling these cases where they've exposed themselves.
Or because they probably wanted to save a little bit of money by not getting a professional to do it for
and then spending so much more.
Yeah.
So don't bother putting yourself.
So what is like 3k versus £2 million lawsuit?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
God forbid us having a £2 million lawsuit.
Ooh. Anyway, moving on to contracts though, as you mentioned, there are some must-haves for sure. So particularly when you're going into business with a partner, you need to have a founders agreement.
You do.
This is key, because essentially this will define who has what in terms of ownership, who has what in terms of voting decision rights. Also, what happens if someone leaves?
You're not going to leave me,
We're fine.
I've said this before, I've trusted this man in my life,
yeah.
but you need one of these agreements in place.
100%.
Just on the pretense that you also seem more professional when you have one.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone goes, oh, I'm starting a business with a best mate or a family member.
Yeah.
I don't need one, I trust them. You still need to get one.
It's
You
not
never know what's going to happen in someone's lives.
Exactly.
But you see it with big companies, they've flopped because of this as well.
And people, like, as I said, when it comes to that investor stage, if you're doing your pitch and a guy asks, so what happens when you fall out, or when one of you has to leave and go to a different country, or when
that's a common question we got.
Medically, for example, it was one of the questions we got. What happens if something medically happens to one of you? And you don't want to be stood there with your dick in your hand, like, oh, I don't know. Like, you look like a complete idiot. So have something in place so that you can both look really professional in embarking on a venture together.
It also gives a bit of confidence for the investors, because they're like, okay, they know what they're doing, and if something does go wrong, I know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And they're happy with that. You also need to make sure, especially if you're in the client kind of service industry, your client contracts.
Yes.
This is a huge thing. You need to clearly outline what services, products you're going to provide, how much you're getting paid for it, and, once again, what happens if something goes wrong.
True.
Who's liable for damages, etc., etc., etc. Make sure you do your due diligence.
And I think the biggest point that comes out of that, unless you've got anything more to add.
I've got those ones, mate.
Well, one of the things I will say is have a bleeding contract. Don't allow people to just do this like old school handshake rules and all that sort of stuff.
No.
Because they will fall through.
So like a common thing is an NDA. This is something we had to send out to loads of people. You need a non-disclosure agreement, particularly if you don't want people to pinch your idea.
Exactly.
Because it's all well and good sharing it to a friend, an investor, whatever it may be. They might just turn around and go, that's a great idea. I didn't sign an NDA. I can run with that if nothing's been created.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if nothing's been trademarked. You also have employment contracts, right? So when you start to grow,
that's a big
and you start to bring on employees, you need something that protects both you and your employees.
You do.
You also need to set the expectations of the employees, whether it's wages, salaries, deadlines, bonuses, whatever it may be, and also termination policies. People always forget about the exit clauses. You need to have them in place. Otherwise, you could potentially be liable for getting sued.
And especially, it's one of your biggest expenses as a startup. If you do choose to go down employment, we don't have to facilitate that ourselves as of yet. But in the future, it might be something we have to do.
100%.
And when we do, that, like, having a salary go out of your company expenses is so big. If you have salary going out, and then on top of that, you then have people exposing themselves to go, oh yeah, you didn't have this in my contract, uplifted by a certain amount. You now have no legs to stand on. Jeez, you'll end up causing yourself such a
Exactly. And people do joke around about the HR and stuff like that, but they are especially needed when you start to grow.
You start to like open things up.
And then, as Ollie did allude to earlier, terms and conditions, right? This is massive, especially if you're selling on an online platform or in store, whatever it may be. You need to make sure you pretty much have what kind of payment terms you're going to accept, whether it's debit card, credit cards, or even that 3 payment kind of installments.
Like a card sort of thing. Yeah.
You've got to make sure your delivery and returns are set out so people know if they can get refunds, etc., etc. Also, liability limitations. So if anything's going to cause damage to you, injuries, you've got to list that out as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the food and drink industry.
Food and drink is tough to get into.
Yeah, it is. But intellectual property rights, as we mentioned as well, that's huge. Can they resell your product? Can they modify it and upsell it? You need to make sure you have all of that in, and particularly user conduct rules as well. If you're on a kind of social media platform that you've run or started up, you need to make sure you have those rules and regulations as to what people can post.
That's a really good point. I mean, speaking of a time where people decided to completely ignore everything you just said and go outside of the contracts and kind of touch more on what I said about the handshake agreement earlier.
Honestly, mate, there are so many examples.
It used to be how business works as well. Back in like sort of 50 years ago, 60 years ago, when people weren't so much as suing for millions and stuff like that, it kind of wasn't really heard of. Franchising didn't really exist because there wasn't much like globalization.
Now it is so common.
It is so regular.
There's people out there who will try and find something wrong on purpose with your company, or a little loophole that they can expose and potentially get a good settlement out of it.
They hop between different courts and they see the same judges, and judges are like, yeah, I've seen this guy 100 times over, because they just try and get settlement cases out of people, which is diabolical.
Go on, you've got a big story.
I've got a big one.
I want to hear
one that goes out the side of the sort of small person just trying to get a settlement. This was huge. So if any of you guys have seen the film, again, we recommend films and books every now and again just because they're great ways to learn, they're entertaining ways to learn.
Easy way to consume some good knowledge.
Exactly. Have you ever seen the film The Founder?
I actually haven't.
Oh, it's stunning.
What's it on? Netflix or something?
I think it is actually.
Prime,
it definitely
Netflix,
was
one of those anyway.
If you haven't already seen it, it's about the big story of Mackie D's.
I know the story of Mackie D's.
And basically what happens in it is it follows the story of a guy named Croc. Mr. Croc, and basically he joined McDonald's as a franchising agent, somebody to come on board and take this sort of subway stop side road sort of burger place and take it to the stellar company that it was.
Do you remember what it started with?
Started with a hot dog.
Yes,
so I remember that.
See the OGs remember that?
Yes. Quickly seeing the potential to nationalise this brand, what he did was he made a deal with the two owners, the McDonald's brothers, and said, what I want to do is I want to take this and make a few other branches here, there and everywhere. And at first they were like, no, not going to happen. Okay. Anyway, he was like, no, hear me out, let's try it. And all he did was he said, if you just give me a few of the royalties, then I'll take a cent off of every single burger, basically. And they were like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, this agreement happened, and what ensues throughout the course of the film, some of which is historically accurate, some of which obviously dramatised.
Yeah.
He then realises that this sort of little cent he's getting on every burger isn't really worth it. So he decides to buy the land that McDonald's then place themselves on. So he now becomes the landlord of the franchise owners who then set up the different stores worldwide.
Yeah.
And my God, it worked a treat. He ended up making obviously a cent off a burger to being the person who had thousands of pounds rolling in every month for the landlord fees and the ownership fees and all this sort of stuff. Eventually pretty much owning the footprint that McDonald's was stood on all across America.
Yeah.
And then went back to these McDonald's brothers who said, like, without me, you're now nothing. So let's make a deal here. And the deal that was made was for $2.7 million. Imagine how big Mackey's is nowadays. They bought them out for $2.7 million back in 1961.
Wow.
Securing basically a total control over McDonald's. And this deal excluded the original San Bernardino location, which the McDonald's brother had. And he said, okay, I'll leave you with this. He did a spin on this 6 months later, set up McDonald's across the road from the San Bernardino, told the McDonald's brothers you have to change their name legally, and then removed their handshake deal of sending them royalties, and the whole deal fell apart for the two.
Oh, so what, he trademarked?
So he trademarked the name, and then
so
kicked the San Bernardino location out of it, and put a McDonald's across the road.
Wow.
That is brazy.
I mean, that just goes to show, like, you may get a deal of the lifetime, and it may come back to haunt you. You've got to be really, really careful who you go into business with.
And these two McDonald's brothers now come at the end of it, obviously still very wealthy, but without the billions they probably could have had access to.
They'd be kicking themselves.
Because the part of the royalties was a handshake agreement.
Yep.
Anyone can go back on a handshake agreement, guys.
That is it. Like, they probably still have their empire of McDonald's now if they had better contracts, essentially. That is crazy. That's actually mental. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe that. I actually can't believe that.
Neither can I.
So what would you do in that aspect? Would you take the settlement payment, or would you fight against it?
When it's a handshake agreement, there's not a lot of fighting you can do, really.
So
once you've made the mistake, you've made the mistake. It's a real shame, but like that's why legal documents are in place. That's what we're trying to get across today. They are so vitally important, people.
Massively important.
But nevertheless, now we're going to get into some other ones for you. Now that's not the only crazy story we're getting today.
Quite a lot.
There's some mad ones. And we're going to get into that now with our favourite segment.
Workplace stories!
Woo woo! Let's get into it. Woo!
Let's get into it then, my friend. I've got... this is... I don't know if I should save this one till last. It's probably the craziest one out there.
You do you, man.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to start with it. Right. Pepsi versus the guy who wanted a fighter jet.
A fighter jet?
A fighter jet.
No.
So I don't know if you know. I don't know if you've watched it because it was quite popular on Netflix at one point.
It was on Netflix?
It was on Netflix, yeah.
No, was it?
It's Pepsi, Where's My Fighter Jet or something like that.
Is that a full documentary?
Full documentary of the
wow.
guy. Anyway, back in the 90s, right? Pepsi came up with this amazing idea to run a commercial promoting their Pepsi Points rewards program.
Yeah.
Similar to like your Starbucks points or your Costa points. But
McDonald's Monopoly.
very, very similar.
Okay, cool.
The ad jokingly said that for 7 million points, you could get a Harrier fighter jet.
No.
Insane, right? Like literally the one that the military
That probably
use.
costs more than 7 million.
Exactly. But the whole point was, due to their contracts / terms and conditions, all of that stuff, there was this one guy called John Leonard.
Okay.
He found out that instead of buying 7 million cans of Pepsi to get his points, he could loophole it because in Pepsi's fine print, it said customers are allowed to buy points for 10 cents each.
Okay, so you end up doing 10% of that. Yeah.
So, with the help of some investors, he raised £700,000, sent it to Pepsi, demanded his fighter jet. Because it was in the loophole. It was in the terms and conditions. However, right, this pisses me off. Pepsi obviously were like, dude, boy, American accent, dude, you ain't getting a fighter jet. What are you on about, mate? John then was like, fuck you lot, I'm going to sue you.
Yeah.
You claim that you can, and your ad is basically
especially
illegally
if they specify
binding
the
offer.
number of 7 million, yeah.
And the advert is a legally binding offer, right? So, anyway, he went to court. Oh my god, I've lost it now. Here we go. He went to court, and they ruled it as no reasonable person should believe they could actually buy a military jet with soda points.
What?
Pepsi won it, but changed, obviously, the advert like instantly.
Yeah,
and as soon as they got this email, they changed it instantly. Go check out the documentary. It's actually phenomenal.
I'm going to look at that today.
It is very funny.
That's mad.
And also so
on
snaky.
McDonald's Monopoly, you can be winning like a house, you can be winning like a car and stuff. So
Yeah.
why should you not be able to win?
Well, this was back in the 90s.
Fair,
so this was
it
like
wasn't so popular to have
almost the
outlandish
first
stuff.
of it. Yeah, I think McDonald's Monopoly was going about then, but it wasn't as big. So they were like, let's make it bigger. Yeah.
That's such a genius marketing hack.
It
Anyway,
is.
I've got one for you.
Well, there's
another
actually a
crazy one.
conspiracy about McDonald's and Monopoly.
I'm here.
I will save it for another time.
Save it for another time?
It is weird.
Alrighty. I'm intrigued. Write it down.
will.
Right, I've got one. It's called the Wendy's Finger Case. Wendy's Finger.
Way.
In 2005,
No
Anna
way.
Ayala, I think that's how you say her name, claimed that she found a human finger in her chili at Wendy's in San Jose. The claim drew massive media attention and led to significant losses for Wendy's in terms of reputation and revenue.
Yeah.
However, it was later discovered that Mrs. Anna had planted the finger herself.
Oh no.
She was
Classic,
subsequently sentenced to 9 years in prison for her fraudulent claim. This serves as a reminder of the lengths some individuals will go to exploit
9
the system.
years.
9 years.
How
in
much was
prison.
she asking for? Or was
I
there
don't
no
know.
sum? There
Well,
she
she put the
just like,
claim
I want
in,
to sue you.
Found out that she was like, I've got 2 big problems about this. Number one, the 9 years is crazy.
But
that is
because it's
crazy.
damaged their reputation, like you said. It was all over
If
the news.
if that was the losses they incurred, that's a really good point.
But that's how they would prove it.
Yeah. But secondarily, where is she getting a human finger from? Why is nobody asking that question?
That's so true.
That's a really
That
fucking
went
good
right
point.
over my mind, you know.
Why did she come in like that? She was there like, I don't know where it came from. Where did it come from?
That is so true. I didn't think about that.
That's right.
Mental.
So yeah, there you go. There's a crazy.
She probably killed a body.
Maybe.
Killed a body.
We didn't actually say at the beginning of this. These are all legal cases, by the way.
Yeah. So this is one here, right?
Okay.
A woman who sued McDonald's over a hot coffee.
Okay.
Yeah? I don't know if you've heard this. I've heard this.
I know this.
And this reminded me of it. In 1992, Stella Liebeck, 79-year-old woman.
Wow.
Yeah, proper going for it, right?
She wants a retirement fund boosted.
Yeah. She ran out. She ordered a coffee from McDonald's in their drive-thru. She put it between her legs. Cheeky. Well, added cream and sugar.
While it was between your legs?
And accidentally spilt it.
It happens.
However, you might think, like you said, well, you spill coffee, it's supposed to be hot, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Here's the twist. McDonald's kept their coffee at 190 degree Fahrenheit, which is 88 Celsius. That is hot enough to cause third-degree burns in seconds.
Wow.
Yes. So Stella suffered these burns on her thighs and her groin, requiring skin grafts and an 8-day hospital stay.
Oh, God.
She then billed McDonald's, saying, you need to cover my medical bills of about $20,000.
I mean, medical bills in the States are insane.
They refused.
They refused?
So she took them to court.
Yeah.
And won.
Did she?
$2.7 million in damages, which was then later reduced, but not by much. But regardless, she won, right? The case exposed that McDonald's had received over 700 complaints about burns from their coffee before this happened.
That is really hot, though. Think about it. 88 Celsius is mad.
But, like, surely if you've had 70 complaints about the hot coffees, you're going to go, I should probably make it a little bit less hot.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lesson for you guys. Listen to your customers, because they're always right.
Mr. Croc, you should have corrected that when you took over McDonald's.
20,000, right, is what they could have paid.
Yeah.
Instead, they paid 2.7 million.
Serve them right, eh?
Crazy.
I've got another one for you.
Go on.
This one is called Luxury Pringles.
Pringles. Yum.
There are strict VAT taxes on various British wholesale items in the UK.
Yeah.
So they're deemed luxury, and it puts you in a different bracket of the taxes you have to pay. This includes things such as cakes, ice cream, confectionery, and sadly, for Procter & Gamble, this also includes crisps. This led the major company to get. I'll explain why in a second. This led H&M, or HMRC. Not H&M. HMRC. I saw H&M revenue. Confused me. HMRC. Because their Pringles products are not technically crisps, you know, like this. Basically, because they are less than 3% potato flour, they are considered a savoury snack, not in fact crisps. And due to their ingredients, that then means they are now classed as potato crisps. So Procter & Gamble then had to pay... Actually, sorry, I get this wrong. Procter & Gamble initially, when this went around the court case the first time, won. And they had to avoid paying the $100 million in tax. However, HMRC twisted the claim, put it back into the court system. 6 months later, it was revoked. And it turned back over. So Procter & Gamble had to pay £100 million in tax for the legal luxury Pringles.
Wow.
Mad, isn't it? Because they're technically...
A savoury snack.
A savoury snack.
Which is then luxury. I would like... Well, I would class crisps in general as a savoury snack, though.
The thing that really confuses me is, like, somebody
where's
clearly at HMRC who's having their lunch, sat at their desk. He's eating the Pringles and he goes,
this is
less than
savoury.
3% potato flour, I think. this is a luxury brand.
Wow. I mean, that just goes to show, right? They're looking into every little nitty-gritty detail.
Take your little taxes in the UK no matter what.
Another one, right?
100 million.
That is crazy.
So go.
The emoji that cost a man his home.
Oh no.
Yes. Right, a landlord in Israel was looking for tenants. One couple messaged him expressing interest and added a thumbs up, a champagne bottle and a smiley face emoji at the end of that's their interest expressing, right?
I'm trying to see where you go.
Thinking this meant that they were 100% committed, the landlord took the apartment off the market.
Okay.
Because he was like, thumbs up, champagne, smiley face. They want it.
Yeah.
They're interested. I'll take it off.
Oh.
But the couple ghosted him. for a long time.
Yeah.
He got really angry because he lost out on other tenants
I bet.
and a bit of money in that time frame. So the landlord decided to sue them,
Wow.
claiming the emojis created a binding contract. The judge actually agreed and fined the couple for misleading communication. How insane is that? So they had to pay the however couple months it was rent to the guy. So emojis,
That's mad.
which I never knew, can be classed as legally binding contracts.
I have heard that. It might have been this situation I heard it
Maybe.
from, but I don't remember the story full in its entirety. But that is insane.
So don't send a thumbs up accidentally because
Side note,
you could get sued.
have you seen the TV series Adolescence recently? It's just come out.
I've actually not seen it. I need to watch it.
Okay, well I won't spoil it for you.
Yeah.
However, there is a scene in that where all the kids at school are talking about what certain emojis mean.
Yeah.
In terms of like a red heart means love, a purple heart means you're interested, a yellow heart means that you're good friends and you love each other as friends. All this sort of stuff they were saying. And like I was watching like, this is insane how much communication there is behind emojis.
Yeah.
And hey, if it can be put in a legal case and win, you are exposed, people.
That's insane though, isn't it? Like I can't believe that. You could put a snowman emoji in this. Illegal contract.
If you get in the comment section with like, if you pick your favourite emoji and say what it actually means, like legally binding, you feel like the horny devil when you be there like, this means that you're definitely like, do you know what I mean? Anyway,
you want construction.
I got a final one now. This was a commonly known one to kick us off. We mentioned it before in the past, but I thought I'd give everybody the full dosage story of it. Red Bull gives you wings.
Oh, you've gone with that one again.
In 2013, Benjamin. I'm not going to try it.
No,
Benjamin.
no, you got to try it.
Curry others, and a few others sued Red Bull because it didn't actually give them wings.
It's crazy.
So they basically tried and tested their newfound superpower, and they all failed, of course. And so as a result, the company was taken to court and paid out $13 million in compensation and had to change their signature of Red Bull gives you wings to Red Bull gives you wings.
Whoever made that tagline
of wings
surely is sued.
Oh, without a doubt.
Their marketing, but that was there for years.
How crazy
it was
is
there
that,
for years, that tagline.
Yeah. So mental. $13 million. That was so crazy.
No, like, honestly, people are out there purely to catch companies. Yeah. If they can find some sort of loophole, especially if they're a multi-million-pound company, they can get some good cash settlement.
Cash moolah.
I got one more.
Okay,
then I got a little personal one.
Okay.
So my other one is quite a common one, which people complain about.
Yeah.
Starbucks ice. Right?
Okay.
Too much ice, not enough coffee.
I always say no ice. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Anyway, a woman called Stacey wasn't a fan either.
Good on you,
Stacey Pincus sued Starbucks for $5 million, claiming they were scamming customers by putting too much ice in their iced drinks.
Interesting.
Her argument: if you order a grande iced coffee, 16 ounces, you're only getting 12 ounces of actual coffee.
Interesting.
Because the rest is purely ice. Starbucks said, that's how ice drinks works.
That's a fair point.
The case was dismissed immediately.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Insane. But she still tried to prove it. She blew up on TikTok as well. Because she was like,
did.
you know when you get like the cup size and you show it.
I mean, Starbucks is such like a trendy brand as well.
Well, I've got a little personal one, right?
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Back when I was probably
What have you done?
12. No, not like me. Someone I know, I got told. So I was like 12 in food tech.
Okay.
Back in the day, just burning toast.
I was terrible in food tech.
Burnt toast, smoothies out the window, completely shocking. I just been him all the way home. Anyway, had a teacher. I should probably say her name, but we can bleep it out.
Yeah. Okay, we said it like 6 times now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. Anyway, she was our teacher. Apparently, right, she found a cockroach in one of her bottles that she purchased.
Ooh.
Yeah. Complained to I think it was.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't want to get sued either, but I'll beat that out.
Yeah, we're not exposing any companies here. We'll think about it.
Alright, anyway, a fizzy drink company, right? And she found a cockroach in there. She then turned round to that fizzy drink company, sent an email saying, I've just found a cockroach in your drink. They went, oh, we'll give you unlimited supply whenever you want of our fizzy drink.
Wow.
She said yes.
Just like that?
Yeah. But,
Mad.
evidently,
They've
she
heard that
probably could have got a lot of money out of them.
Without a doubt.
But now she's got a limited supply of that fizzy drink. But I don't know if she'll ever want it again because she found a cockroach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
She finds another one, then goes back to it. Because now we see.
That is crazy, and it's clever from the fizzy drink company because they can go quick settlement,
One,
nice and
if
easy.
that was their first response. Yeah.
But it is a nice and easy
Yeah.
settlement. Please don't sue us. Here, have this.
I wonder what she had to sign as well. If she had to sign anything.
Probably.
Muy interesante.
Yeah. Be careful out there, guys. Also offer settlements if you get sued.
Anyway, we're going to get back into the episode now and talk to you a little bit more about your own legals, compliance, and so on and so forth.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to speak to you a bit more about the legal compliance of life.
Yes, this could be punchy, people. What are we starting with, Jay?
Punchy.
Punchy.
Interesting. Well, obviously I mentioned earlier intellectual property, so IPs. In simple terms, it's anything that is a creation of the mind. You right there?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Jesus.
Apologies.
So whether it's an intervention, whether it's a logo, a brand name, or a song, essentially this is an IP.
I wish we could do a song.
We could do a song.
Should we do a song?
I said intervention, I meant invention. Intervention's like a slide rule.
Jay, let's have a talk. It's like one of those interventions you have. You've seen recently spending way too
All
much
right.
time on Suits and Sliders.
So, however, with that, you need a patent.
You do.
So this is where these come in, right? So patents are like the gold standard of protection, essentially. They give you exclusive rights to owning whatever you have created.
Yes.
Whatever you want to create, and then you can obviously make it, you can sell it, and all of that good stuff.
Before you guys call us out, we know that patents are the same word. We've looked it up beforehand. Patent is American, patent is UK.
Yeah, so
Correct yourself before you check yourself.
UK law, patent.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, moving on. So, with that, right, there's plenty of things you need to go through. You can check, particularly in the UK, a UK Intellectual Property Office, which is a search to check whether whatever you're creating is viable and whether you can create it or someone else has it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of little steps and kind of costs that can take you through. So you got number one, obviously ensure your idea is patentable. Make sure it's for free, hopefully.
True.
So when you search it, you can look for free, but there are other services that will do a deeper dive, but you pay for, which is not really great, but that can sometimes cost 500 quid, mate. Yeah, it can set you back.
Jeez.
So
these little costs are sometimes coming to your finances you don't think of early doors.
exactly. So step 3, kind of, or /2, is to prepare a description and drawings dependent on whatever you have created or made. This you need to probably get professional help for because it needs to be very detailed and very thorough when you go and present this to the board.
Yeah.
So your fees for professional help can vary from 200 all the way up to 1,000 plus, quite easily.
Wow.
However, once you've done that, you then got to file it.
Okay.
So to file an application, a provisional one, costs you 60 quid. If you want a full online one, it's going to cost you 60 quid as well. So you've got provisional one, which will be 60 quid. Then if you want to do the full, it will be another 60 quid.
Okay.
If you want to do it by paper, it's 80 quid. Crazy, right? Then you've got the examination fee, which is £100.
God, it racks up quick.
It does. Bearing in mind, you also have a maintenance fee once you've done this. So you can patent something for a good 20 years, right? However, every 4 years, you need to pay 70 to 180 quid
What?
after the grant's been paid, just to maintain it.
That's mega.
I don't know if you've realised that after like 20 years, anyone can use it, kind of thing. That's kind of how it
Really?
works,
Okay.
usually with songs particularly.
Yeah.
So, whenever a song hits that 20-year mark, people jump on it and start making remixes, all that stuff of
Is
old
that
songs.
it?
That's it. Yeah.
So now we're getting all the early 2000s music
Yeah,
come back out
yeah.
with like remixes. Wow,
Crazy, isn't it?
penny dropped. Mine
Anyway,
exploded.
Then you also have like potential legal fees, which are optional to get into, but
Yeah.
I'd suggest do them.
Yeah.
These cost from anywhere from £500 to £3,000
Yeah.
for professional assistance. However, despite all of this, like it might feel like a big old hassle and a lot of money kind of wasted, but it's not. It is so worth it, unless you want someone to come along and snap up your brilliant idea or invention, whatever it may be, pay the fees because it's so worth it. Otherwise, potentially whatever you have created, which could be $1 million or £1 business idea, could go in the snap of a finger.
Yeah, we're not saying it's necessarily the perfect figure you need to go for, but if you're budgeting at least, if you're a small startup like ourselves, like £1,000 aside to cover all of these like instruction fees, and potentially even putting £200 aside, because this is kind of what it costs to have a consultation with a legal professional for an hour, just to go, can you run me through everything I need to be aware of as a small business owner?
100%.
And then go and speak to professionals that are in the space and be there like, what legals have you done which I need to be aware of? All of that wrapped up together with a buffer margin and probably covering for a good at least 2 to 4 years is probably going to cost you somewhere in the remit of about £1,000 being a small business.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the sort of money you want to put.
But it is a very good thing to do, particularly if you're looking to get investors on board or in the future you want to expand. If you've got all of these ticks on the trademarks, they're going to be like, yeah, this guy's done his bit, and we will invest happily. If you haven't, it'll be the first thing they ask you.
And I'll tell you another thing. Another thing that we'll speak about in the future is big old companies buy the small fish in the same pond. Mm-hmm. My point being is like, especially when it comes to clothing brands, big clothing brands will sweep up all the little brands popping up that are just trending at the time in order to flush out their modern sort of styles and brands and so on and so forth.
It's a monopoly, isn't it? You've got big companies that monopolise everything, and they'll just go, I'll sweep you up, no competitors.
You're right. My point being is if that brand has seen you don't have that legal protection, that trademarks and the patents, whatever you call it,
you're stuffed.
Then they'll just reinvigorate the clothing themselves. Whereas if you've got these patents, they have to buy you. And so you open yourself to potential opportunity for being a bought-out company if you make your products really, really nice and really top-notch.
Yeah, so do it ASAP. I mean, as soon as you can, because if you start to make some sort of small profit, like Ollie mentioned, you'll get swept up, or your designs will get swept up.
People will definitely be interested, that's for sure. I've looked at a different side of things.
Cool.
So we talked a lot about the legal, but another thing that's really important to mention, which I think is a good time to say now, is the ethical practices.
Yes.
Because as time has evolved over the last few decades, more ethical related topics have made their way into the legal forms and such. So things such as, like, as you mentioned earlier, employment law, sustainability practices, all those initiatives and stuff. Diversification, that's another huge one that's come in for people. And then things such as like data privacy and transparency of financials, all this sort of stuff has come in under the bracket of ethical practices, which basically just ensures fairness, it ensures transparency, and most importantly, integrity for your company and the other ones out there that might be doing things under the collar that you don't know about.
Definitely.
Which pops up all the time now.
I mean, if you're not complying with kind of the ethical standards or even the legal compliances, you're going to find yourself getting a fine, losing customers, potentially damaging your own reputation. And that's just not good for you.
You're right. And the most important point of this transparency side of your ethical practices is, especially if you're a company that has a product, or let's say you're a brand and you require a manufacturer, you need to make sure that that transparency you're giving crosses over into the manufacturers as well. Because if you don't do that, that's how people will call you out. And there's been plenty of companies that have been called out over the years, Apple being notable for the accusations it's had over the years to where it has its manufacturing sources and so on and so forth. Big sports brands as well. Like, these accusations are thrown around. You do not want to get yourself caught up in them because your stock price will do that, especially if you're a public company.
Don't kind of put out misinformation out there. Say you're doing one thing and do the complete other, because you'll find yourself, particularly in our day and age of the cancel culture, getting cancelled, and suddenly everyone is boycotting your business.
True. Anyway, I've got a question for the week for us. Have a little discussion before we get on to our next segment. Should people feel confident to share their business idea before it started, or is that too risky? Because a lot of people out there say, I've got an idea, but I don't want to tell anyone because somebody will steal it. But what's your thoughts on saying, is that something that people should do or not do?
I mean, if you're talking about the very, very beginning of an idea, I don't think it's too bad. Mm-hmm. I think there are ways where you can potentially approach someone that kind of gives you a bit of validation in your idea.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to go and tell them all the little intricate details.
Sure.
You can give them a good scope or an overview, which will help you potentially get a bit of validation that you're looking for to see if the idea is actually good.
Yeah.
Also helps in terms of, I guess, a networking side of things. If you're looking for a business partner, you need to be able to tell them what you're planning on doing for them to get some sort of buy-in before potentially signing any NDAs and stuff like that. I don't know what you think. I mean, you do need to cover your ass. That's personally my opinion, but it's not terrible telling people.
Yeah, I've got the two sides of the coin answer.
Yeah,
as well.
it is.
So the point I would say initially is, with all of us being like everyday people, my point is like, you need people to be inspired or excited by the idea in order to feel motivated to get off the ground. And if you don't start telling people about it, then you're not going to create any of that potential motivation for yourself, that buzz for yourself.
Yeah.
And so there's that side to it, but also that goes in hand with that is, I say this regularly, I challenge anybody out there, and I truthfully mean this, I challenge any single person out there to come up with a business podcast with all the segments, get yourself a co-host, make yourself all the logos, get yourself the music, create the episodes, and challenge us. Because truthfully, I feel like because we are so passionate about this person and we've got our frustration, that it comes from our intrinsic selves, it motivates us to do this. If somebody else wants to say that they're going to take my idea and run with it, well, crack on, spend the next year working away at it. If you put in as much time as me, you deserve the idea to work for you as well, in my opinion. And if you're passionate enough about it, then the more people out there inspired by the idea probably means you're going to have more of a customer base. So it's a weird way to kind of put it, but I would say out there, if you share the idea out to the world and you start to get people inspired or motivated or buzzed up about it, I challenge other people to try and have a crack as well.
Yeah, I guess...
I just don't think they would.
The issue with it is, if you go, oh, this is our name, Suits and Sliders, do you like it? They can then go, yeah, I'm going to run with that, and I'm going to make sure I trademark that name, and now you can't use it. Then you're in trouble. So, like you said, the concept of stuff, share it. It's also brilliant to get feedback as well, because ultimately there's been times where we've worked on our business and we've gone to people and asked them, what do you think of this or what do you think of that? Not making them sign anything, NDAs to prevent them from going to speak to other people. But then we get our feedback and we can go, oh yeah, actually we should have looked at that before. And if we had have maybe trademarked our name very early doors and not even tested the waters with it, we'd be stuck with Boardroom Breezes or something like that.
God forbid.
It's a brilliant name.
It's not.
It is.
Anyway, one last thing I said, just in what you said, is also if you're going to have conversations with people about this, the fees that aren't a lot in terms of registering a company, which we spoke about in the past, and maybe kicking off one of these applications to trademark, I would not lie about this. I would say to people, when you're telling people about the idea, say, oh yeah, I've already got it on Company's House, I've already started a trademark thing. Yeah. Almost, if you're going to tell people about it, put that out there as well, so you deter their nasty little selves from going, oh, I'm going to steal this idea, because you feel like you've already got the ball rolling.
But ultimately your best bet is to go, particularly what we did in our early stages when we approached investors, etc., and we opened up our business plans to them, we got them to sign NDAs, so they didn't go and share the information with anyone else, and we lost out on that kind of thing. Exactly. So best bet, get them to sign an NDA if you're a bit worried about them potentially nabbing your idea. Pick the right people that you go and approach as well. Don't just go and approach any random person down the street, because you don't know their intentions. But also, if you have a particular product that you're looking to sell, not necessarily like a podcast, etc., you need to be able to prove your concept first.
You do.
Getting those prototypes in, stuff like that, for people to really understand what your product is, to really get on board, is key.
That's so true.
Especially for yourself as well, to see if your product is actually going to work and do what you say on the tin.
Without doubt.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you there. We are now going to get into our freshest segment for the YouTubers. This is a fresh segment for the YouTubers, because previously we've done this on Patreon.
On the Patreon.
Yes. So this is a brand new one for you YouTubers, Spotifyers, so on and so forth. We have Stocky for you.
This is not advice.
This is not advice.
This is just fun.
Don't sue me, or him, or us. This is basically where we look at stocks and we come up with cool little investments. So let's get into it now, and we can show you what we've done.
To Stocky. Obviously, this is a brand new segment for you lots, you lovely people out there.
Yes.
Essentially, what we do is we look at the UK stock market and we have £5 to invest into potentially 2 different stocks, maybe more in the future. Who knows? Who knows? But on the Patreon, we picked 2 stocks and we kind of said our reasons for why we picked these 2 particular stocks each, and we invested. And we're going to give you a little update on how they're doing.
Yes.
Do you want to start first?
Do you want to go first? I'll go first. So I won't give you the reasons why. You can go and check out the Patreon.
Yes.
That was back on episode 6 or 7. I don't know, somewhere around there. So these have been up for a couple of weeks now. I went for Kingfisher and Riot Platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So, Riot Platforms, my initial investment of £5, has unfortunately gone down. 14%. It's not great. I've lost 71 pence there so far.
Brutal.
Kingfisher, however,
Go on.
has gone up.
Oi, we're up money.
2.8%. So I'm I'm on an overall deficit.
That's very good.
But up 14 pence there. So
That's good.
I'm down overall, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Definitely. 100%.
And I thought Riot was going to kick off mainly in
go
April.
on.
That was always my idea. So
Okay,
I think
okay.
I'm holding out for it.
Fair. Could be coming good now. I mean, the stock exchange market at the moment is a bit down in the dumps, so I'm not surprised if they're not doing too well.
No.
So I invested into GST Technologies or GS Technologies.
You did?
This unfortunately is down 7.6%,
Okay.
minus 38p.
Ooh.
So I'm sitting on £4.62. Huge money. Anyway, the other one is up though.
Hey.
Polar Capital is up 3.4%.
Nice.
17p up, so I'm sitting on £5.17.
So you're technically doing better overall so far because you've gone
Yeah,
up a little
so
bit more
overall-
and down a little less. So you're doing better.
Yeah, so overall I'm £9.79 out of the £10 I've invested.
See,
However, today,
mine's
I'll go on, what's yours?
940, I think.
940.
Yeah.
Ooh, we can add that to our quarterly report
Yes.
and to our revenue.
Sounds good. We'll get into that at the end.
Anyway,
Okay,
so we're
this
still
week-
down though, just like our scratch card. So this week, have you got a stock for me?
I've got two.
Go on.
So we always go with two because we can't invest any more than £10 because let's go. Anyway,
We are.
my first one, Tops Tiles.
Okay.
Yeah. So
They sponsor Northampton.
the ticker, as you wanted from me last time,
Yes, I did want the ticker.
TPT.L.
There we go.
There you are. I
Search
figured
it
it out
up
this
if you
time.
want to have a look.
So the tile retailer, Tops Tiles.
I like it.
Point being, why I've looked into this company. Now, basically, near-term earnings are under threat from difficult positions and markets at the moment. Point being, what's happened recently is Top Tiles has been kind of depleting a little bit year on year recently. Now, nevertheless, as this year began, for some reason, I don't really know why,
Yep.
Britain's political field has reinstilled basically a massive push for UK developers to build houses again. It's been a big push into this year. And from what I can see, is Tops Tiles actually, this is a crazy stat for you, has 20% of the tile market in the UK.
Yeah.
20%.
That's big.
So I'm thinking, with this new influx of buildings and houses going up, the stock price will start to do this.
Hopefully,
So, for the fiscal
hopefully.
year so far, it's said that it's looking to increase its revenue by 8.9%. That's what they've had as predictions this year,
Nice.
from what I've seen. So I'm hoping for stock price to follow
Big
that sort of
cash.
increase. Over
How
this
much is
year.
going to set you back?
So I'll put in £5 to it, of course.
But how much is the stock itself to buy for one stock?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay.
But I've got this Top Styles, so.
Fair enough. Do you want me to go on to
Yeah,
my
you
one
go
where you
next.
search yours
I
up
have
then?
no idea how much that is.
So I have gone for, the ticker is IAG.
IAG.
International. Yeah, you might know it, mate.
ZLA.
International Consolidated Airlines Group.
I see.
This will set you back £1.85 per share. So,
Okay.
my thought behind it, post-COVID travel boom, obviously.
Yeah, true.
COVID was a difficult time. A lot of airline industries went down. Obviously, IAG, they are the parent company to British Airways
They are.
and other European airlines. So, I'm thinking, as the airline industry starts to recover,
Mhm.
this stock will start to rise. In particular, in the UK, Heathrow potentially building another runway
True.
might actually lead to some more flights, which will hopefully increase this stock in the long run.
Did you hear how IAG did last year in terms of their profits?
No, do you
They
know?
did this, they did a bit of a sneaky thing I heard, which is they made a lot of their sort of employment pay rise agreements and stuff like that, and then they announced their revenue of that year.
Yeah.
They made mega money.
Yeah.
They were in the sort of billions in their revenue, and everyone was
Wow.
like, they've just done the pay deals,
Wow.
and we didn't realise how well they were doing. And then they announced they were making
Yeah.
billions in their year. They'd like gone up something crazy in terms of
impressive,
their
that.
yearly revenue.
So there you go. I mean,
I
for
respect that. So what have you bought?
£1.85 per share.
I see. I figured it out now. So Top Stars, I've got 15 shares for my £5 on the
Nice.
dot, and I can get to my next one whenever you're ready.
Yeah,
You ready?
go on to it, mate.
I've gone for Gorilla Technology. Ticker
Yes.
Golf Romeo Romeo Romeo. GRR.
What?
Otherwise known as grr.
Don't wrong.
AI experts are currently operating within Gorilla Technology. Basically being that this company is now enterprising smart cities around the world. Especially in like the Middle East and sort of Thailand and places like that, they are making big deals. So recently signed a $1.8 billion deal in Thailand for AI initiatives on the energy sector there. They've also, prior to that, had 2 other mega contracts announced. However, this is why I've gone for the stock.
Go on.
Very recently, about a month ago from now, their trading has been halted. Sounds bad. Because there's been a claim made that they are falsifying certain claims regarding the financial misconduct.
Ooh.
Now, the company hasn't responded yet.
Ooh.
This is why I've gone for them. Their stock price pretty much halved when this claim came out. And it was only about 4 weeks ago. So I've thought, if I put a little fiver in here, and let's say the claims are false entirely, because they've signed a $1.8 billion deal, which is there, sat ready to go, and 2 further contracts, if it gets sort of discredited and they get popping off again, it should immediately jump back to their stock price that it was before, or at least get there quite quickly.
Should.
So, I'm betting on the horse that they didn't do what they did.
Yeah.
But if they have done what they did, I'm screwed.
Yeah, because they'll probably file bankruptcy or something like that.
So, Gorilla Technologies for the second.
Risky one.
And I did 0.2% share of theirs.
Okay. Cool. So I went with Lloyd's Banking Group.
Okay.
Ticker is LLOY. £4.22
I
a share. Reason why I've gone for them is obviously they're a big, stable banking giant.
Mm-hmm.
However, as we mentioned earlier in our last episode, due to digital growth within the banks,
True.
I feel like they will do very well because Lloyd's have started to invest heavily into digital services, improving its online banking platform and offering more flexible banking options.
Fair enough.
And obviously, as this digital banking kind of era starts to grow,
They won't be happy.
they won't.
Mr. Check, man.
This will benefit them, basically, bottom line of it. So I'm hoping in a couple of years or a couple of months, start to grow.
We shall see.
So
we now got £20 invested between the two of us.
And we purchased these on Trading 212.
That's right.
Because actually none of us has used it before.
No,
we
it's a
see
good
it getting
start-up
sponsored
platform.
everywhere, so sponsor us as well.
Sponsor me. Anyway, point being, people, once again, this is not accredited advice. We are not traders. We are not stockbrokers. We are just 2 people who kind of want to go, okay, a lot of people get invested in the stock market and it doesn't work out for some people. So we want to show you the transparency of what small investments will accrue over time.
Who knows? We might make a bit of money, but we might not. But it's to show you the risk of everything. It's a risk of business, there's a risk in investment, there's a risk doing everything.
And we will get back into how our stocks are doing when we next see you on Stocky in probably a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
Aside from that was Stocky for you people. Let's get back. Buckle.
Righty-ho, so I hope my stocks go to the moon.
Same.
And our quarterly report will look amazing in our next quarter.
It will.
Do you want to run through it quick?
Let's run through this quarterly report. So, you're professionals. Quarterly report meeting.
You can see how much we're starting to grow. I think it's impressive.
Ish. It's not great on the money figures. But
We've gained assets.
We have gained assets. That's a really important
I think that's impressive, regardless of whether we're making profit.
Yeah, you would have seen on episode 9 how we did our first segment of traders. And traders managed to give us both a pretty tidy profit in terms of the asset gain from a dilly little pen. However, that doesn't technically count in our figures and financials because we haven't sold them. But if we do, net worth, it does.
It's about 100 quid there.
It is about 100 quid.
We'll say,
second-hand soda, 70 quid, second-hand chair, maybe we can get like 20, 30 quid for it. Nevertheless, in terms of the financials, so to give you an update, scratch cards, we've spent £26 on scratch cards now. This is really not good. We've gone for a few of the £2
quid already.
Yeah, 26 quid in 10 episodes. And our profit gains from that has only been £6 because we won once. But that was a euphoric moment. So I think it gave us more intrinsic reward than anything else.
Definitely.
So that comes out with a negative 20.
Okay.
And then the second big costing for us so far
is
BizWheel. That was back on episode 4. However, there would be another one.
There would be, yes.
Which, however, hasn't been filmed yet. As a little insight.
No.
So we're still awaiting the full figures on the BizWheel updates. But for your own awareness, we spent £25 on my rather shoddy attempt, and we came away with £6. So that has a negative 90, which means in summary, we're negative £39.
Yeah.
That's our overly quarterly report as Q2.
But in terms of Stocky as well, we're also down, aren't we? Is that coming?
So yes, I've taken them to Stocky. So even though they're investments and they can fluctuate, we're currently, I am minus 60p, you are minus 21p. However, they can fluctuate in time seen as their investments, so we're going to hold on to that. And then finally, as you mentioned, asset gain for net worth. We're plus a chair and plus a second-hand Sonos speaker.
Yeah.
So I think we're actually doing okay.
If we sold our business as it is today, we'd probably make, what, 60 quid?
Maybe. But here's a really
Profit.
important thing. So in Q1, we were actually at minus £35. So in the first 4 weeks, we were a negative £35 company. In the previous 4 weeks,
so it is growth.
We've only lost £4. So we went from losing 35 in Q1 to losing only 4 in Q2.
So we've gone like
with the asset gains.
We've gone like a little bit.
Do you see what I mean? I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's like
I think over time,
slight growth.
But
it's not growth, but it is slight growth.
It's not quite growth. Anyway, that's the end of our quarterly report.
We're improving that trajectory.
Yeah.
It was going like this, nose bombing. Now it's starting to flatline a little.
It's going to go whoom.
That's the point.
Woo!
Every dip there's our high.
And by the time we get around to our next quarterly reports, we should have our first money in from the podcast. So we can start to look at that as well and see how we're getting on.
I don't think we're earning anything on YouTube.
I'm hoping by episode 15 we'll start to have something. We'll see.
Never know.
Never know.
Fingers crossed. Subscribe.
So please go over to the Patreon.
Go to the Patreon. Watch us get waxed. One of us.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was coming.
Yeah, that's coming today. Yes, and it could be awfully embarrassing.
But thanks very much for joining us today on Are We Going to Jail episode, Legal and Compliance.
Exactly.
We hope we made a topic that can be quite boring, as entertaining for you as humanly possible.
Keep your ideas safe and your contracts tighter.
Exactly. I was about to say some raunchy thing about time, but let's move on. Like, comment, subscribe, hit up the Patreon, get on our socials. We'll see you in the near future.
Yeah, and we're also running lots of competitions on our Patreon, so if you want extra perks, potentially win some coin, or different products.
Or some slides.
You could actually put it on a chair.
That's big. Winning a Sonos. Wow.
Well, you never know. We actually could do. That's something to talk about. Anyway, if you want to find out whether you can win it, go check it out.
Go check it out.
£4 a month.
13p a day.
One coffee.
One coffee and you get all the exclusive content. And you get an extra on Sunday. And you get early access. And you get extended episodes. Come on, people.
What more do you want?
Another and? I don't, do I?
What more do you want?
Should we leave these people in peace for the rest of their day?
We shall.
It was lovely seeing you again. Hopefully you're enjoying the beautiful weather out and about at the moment. Hopefully it's nice weather out and about at the moment.
That was a lot of waffle. Cheerio!
Toodle pip!
There'll be a lot of beeping.
Yeah.
I can't have that name going out just in case.
What, the teacher's name?
No, and the company's name.
Do you not think?